Zeus's edict of withdrawal died with him, and not long after, the Olympian gods burst from hiding like the proverbial genie from a bottle. Note that this is merely a simile. The actual existence of genies would be downright silly. Moments later, they realized it had been centuries since they last demonstrated themselves to the mortal world. They returned to Olympus to plan, each god and goddess proffering that the pantheon must reveal themselves in a truly fantastic fashion. It was a rare moment of agreement for them, which they took as a clear sign of the rightness of their decision. It should be noted that Olympian gods will often take anything as a sign of the rightness of their decisions. Sometimes a god takes the mere instance of losing an argument to another god as a sign of their own rightness due to the sheer rarity of the occurrence, akin to the birth of an albino elephant. But in this case, all Olympians, not albino elephants, were agreeable about there being an agreement, so they could all agree about the agreement being, well, agreeable. Some may be put off by the preceding sentence. To those difficult individuals, it can only be said that the Olympian language is difficult to translate at best, and do try to relax a bit. And so the Olympians put their heads together and came up with a stunt that would both announce their return to the mortal world and demonstrate their power. They would raise the lost city of Atlantis. There was some debate about this, but it primarily consisted of Aahz' claim that General William Tecumseh Sherman had already done such a thing during the U.S. Civil War. Others swiftly pointed out that what Sherman had actually done was raise Atlanta. Aahz was promptly laughed at. Those who had foolishly named Atlanta after a doomed sunken culture were laughed at as well, and the plan continued unabated after that. Natural laws being what they are, even the gods could not raise Atlantis without sinking something else to maintain the balance. They went with Iceland. They nearly opted to sink Atlanta instead, just for the sake of symmetry, but finally decided on Iceland. This was partially due to the fact that Iceland, unlike Atlanta, was also an island, but primarily because the gods honestly didn't think anyone would miss a country located entirely above the timberline. And so, one late November afternoon, the whole of Iceland was unceremoniously plunged under the sea, swallowed up in a horrible torrent of water, destruction, and sheep. A new island simultaneously surfaced off the northwestern coast of Spain. Truth be told, it didn't surface nearly so much as hurl itself from the water like a spastic whale before crashing back down into the ocean surface in a cataclysm that immediately shattered the remaining ruins of the ancient Atlantean culture. But it was above sea level, and that was the goal. No one noticed. Atlantis hadn't been in that spot before, of course, and that is to say, ever. This was a large part of the problem. Before it sank, due to one of the first and most wholly catastrophic experiments in flushable toilets, Atlantis lay off the coast of Crete. It's just that none of the gods were ever truly happy with the island's previous location, so they deemed it worthwhile, and altogether more divinely impressive, to move it. Yet, now that Atlantis suddenly existed on a spot which absolutely zero historical scholars had staked their careers, recognition of the island stood to invalidate numerous theories, and so none of them cared to pay it much heed. Everyone else was busy wondering why there was now a large tract of open sea northwest of Britain, and trying to determine why the price of wool had gone up. So the gods made other attempts to get noticed. Apollo held the sun in place in the sky for a full hour, which people mistook for another revision of daylight savings time. Hades incited an entire cemetery's worth of corpses to rise, create picket signs announcing the gods' return, and march outside the United Nations headquarters. All were promptly arrested for holding a sci-fi convention without a permit. Even Ares had an idea, to pull to Earth some debris from Saturn's rings and create a giant marquee of the gods from the resulting meteor shower. He got only so far as yanking the rocks out of orbit before the others informed him that the debris would take a number of months to reach Earth. It was Hermes, with his communication savvy, who finally suggested the press conference.